There is one thing you can do, just once, that will permanently change how every person in your life treats you. Not a trick, not manipulation for the weak-minded. This is a fundamental shift in how you carry yourself through the world. Machiavelli understood it 5 centuries ago. The kings who listened became legends. The ones who ignored it became footnotes. Most men spend their entire lives wondering why they get overlooked, why they get interrupted, why their presence commands nothing. They blame circumstances. They blame others. They never look inward. But you are here because you suspect the truth. The problem was never them. The problem was the signal you were broadcasting without even knowing it. Today, that signal dies. What replaces it will make people pause before they speak to you. It will make them choose their words carefully. It will make them treat you differently, permanently. The illusion most people live under. Let me tell you about the silent disease that infects almost every man walking this earth. It is the desperate, gnawing hunger for approval. Watch closely and you will see it everywhere. Men laughing too hard at jokes that are not funny because they want to be liked. Men agreeing with opinions they secretly despise because they fear confrontation. Men shrinking their voices, softening their stances, bending their spines in 1,000 invisible ways every single day, just to fit in, just to be accepted, just to avoid the discomfort of someone else's disapproval. This is the illusion. The belief that if you make yourself agreeable enough, pleasant enough, accommodating enough, the world will reward you with respect. It will not. The world does not respect those who seek its approval. It uses them. It takes from them. It walks over them and barely remembers their names. Machiavelli watched the courts of Italy and saw this truth carved in blood. The men who begged for favor were discarded the moment they were no longer useful. The men who stood apart, who needed nothing from the crowd, those were the men who accumulated real power. You have been trained since childhood to seek validation. Your parents rewarded you for obedience. Your teachers rewarded you for compliance. Society told you that being liked was the highest achievement. It was all a lie designed to make you controllable. The moment you base your emotional state on how others perceive you, you hand them the keys to your mind. You become a puppet, and every person around you holds a string. They may not even realize they are pulling, but pull they do, and you dance. Today, you learn to cut those strings, every single one of them. The Machiavellian truth about perception. Machiavelli wrote something that most people misunderstand completely. He said that everyone sees what you appear to be, but few experience what you really are. Read that again in your mind. Let it settle. This is not about deception in the petty sense. This is about understanding the game that is always being played, whether you participate consciously or not. Every single person you meet is making judgments about you within seconds. They are reading your posture, your eye contact, the steadiness of your voice, the way you respond to pressure. They are not seeing the real you. They are seeing a projection, an image. And here is what separates the powerful from the powerless. The powerful understand this and take control of that image deliberately. The powerless let it form randomly and then wonder why life treats them harshly. You do not get treated according to your intentions. You do not get treated according to your inner goodness or your hidden potential. You get treated according to what you project outward into the world. This is cold. This is uncomfortable. But this is reality. A man who carries himself with quiet certainty will be assumed competent before he proves anything. A man who fidgets and seeks reassurance will be assumed weak before he even speaks. Fear has nothing to do with it. The courtiers of Renaissance Italy knew this instinctively. Every gesture was calculated, every word was measured, not because they were false, but because they understood that perception is the only currency that matters in the economy of power. You can be the most capable man in the room and still be dismissed if your presence whispers insecurity. You can be average in ability and still command respect if your presence speaks authority. Master the projection, master your fate. The one shift, emotional independence. Here is the shift, the single change that rewires everything. You must become emotionally independent from the reactions of others. Say it to yourself until it burns into your brain. Their approval means nothing. Their disapproval means nothing. Their praise does not elevate you. Their criticism does not diminish you. You are the unmoved center. Most men are thermometers. They simply reflect the temperature of the room around them. Someone smiles at them, they feel good. Someone frowns at them, they feel bad. Their entire emotional existence is a reaction to external forces they cannot control. This is slavery dressed in social clothing. The man who operates from true power is not a thermometer. He is a thermostat. He sets the temperature. He does not ask the room for permission to feel certain. He does not look to others to validate his worth. His emotional state is generated from within, and it remains constant regardless of what happens outside. This is not arrogance. Arrogance is loud. Arrogance is desperate. Arrogance is just insecurity dressed in a costume. What I'm describing is quiet, unshakable solidity. It is the man who can receive an insult and feel nothing but mild curiosity about why the other person felt the need to deliver it. It is the man who can be praised and simply nod without letting it inflate his sense of self. He already knows his value. He decided it. He did not ask for a consensus. When you reach this state, something strange begins to happen. People sense it. They cannot articulate what has changed, but they feel it in their bones. You become harder to manipulate, harder to rattle, harder to control, and humans instinctively respect what they cannot easily influence. This is your foundation. Build everything else on top of it. How people actually test you. Understand something critical. People are always testing you, not consciously most of the time, not with malicious intent necessarily, but testing nonetheless. It is built into human nature. We are constantly probing each other to determine where we stand in the invisible hierarchy. These tests come in forms you have probably never recognized. The colleague who makes a slightly disrespectful joke at your expense in front of others. That is a test. The friend who cancels plans at the last minute and offers a weak excuse. That is a test. The person who interrupts you mid-sentence to share their own point. That is a test. The stranger who holds eye contact a little too long with a hint of challenge. That is a test. Every single day, people are sending out these small probes to see how you respond. And your response tells them everything they need to know about how to treat you going forward. Most men fail these tests without realizing a test even occurred. They laugh off the disrespectful joke to seem easygoing. They accept the flimsy excuse to avoid conflict. They yield the conversation to keep the peace. They look away first to escape discomfort, and in doing so they send a clear signal. You can push me, I will not push back. This signal is received and recorded, not in words, but in feelings. The person now knows at a deep level that you are someone who can be moved, someone who can be deprioritized, someone whose boundaries are negotiable. The Machiavellian mind sees these tests clearly. He does not react with anger or aggression. That would be losing control. Instead, he responds with calm, measured resistance. A pause, a steady gaze, a refusal to laugh when nothing was funny. He passes the test quietly, and the tester recalibrates permanently. The power of strategic silence. Most men talk too much. They fill every silence with noise because silence makes them uncomfortable. They over-explain themselves. They justify their decisions. They rush to respond before the other person has even finished speaking. This is weakness leaking out through the mouth. The powerful have always understood that silence is a weapon sharper than any word. When you speak less, you reveal less. When you reveal less, you become harder to read. When you become harder to read, you become harder to control. Machiavelli observed that the most dangerous men in the courts were not the loud ones making grand speeches. They were the quiet ones in the corner, watching everything and saying almost nothing. Their silence created a vacuum that others rushed to fill, and in that filling, they exposed themselves completely. Learn to let silence do the work for you. When someone asks you a question designed to put you on the defensive, do not rush to answer. Pause. Let the silence stretch. Watch how uncomfortable they become. That discomfort is your power. When someone insults you or attempts to provoke you, do not fire back immediately. Let the silence hang in the air, a slow blink, a slight tilt of the head, nothing more. This non-reaction is devastating because it communicates something profound. You are not worth my emotional energy. I will not grant you the satisfaction of knowing you affected me. Strategic silence also makes your words more valuable. The man who speaks constantly has his words treated like common currency, abundant and therefore worthless. The man who speaks rarely has his words treated like gold, scarce and therefore precious. When he finally does speak, the room listens. Control the urge to fill the void. Let others wonder what you are thinking. Mystery is power. Retraining the world around you. Here is what most men do not understand. The people in your life have been trained to treat you a certain way. Not through formal instruction, but through thousands of small interactions over time. Every time you accepted disrespect without consequence, you trained them that disrespect was acceptable. Every time you prioritized their needs over your own without reciprocation, you trained them that your needs were secondary. Every time you reacted emotionally to their provocations, you trained them that they held power over your internal state. You built these patterns, you reinforced them with consistency, and now they feel like permanent fixtures of your relationships. But they are not permanent. They can be dismantled and rebuilt. When you begin implementing emotional independence, something uncomfortable will happen. The people around you will resist. They will push back against the new version of you. Not because they are evil, but because humans despise change. They had you figured out. They knew which buttons to press. They knew what to expect. Your transformation disrupts their mental model, and this creates friction. Expect it. Some will test you harder than before, trying to pull you back into old patterns. They will accuse you of being cold or distant or different. These accusations are proof that you are succeeding. Do not explain yourself. Do not justify your evolution. Do not seek their understanding or approval. That would be falling back into the old trap. Simply remain consistent. This is the key that most men miss. They try the new approach for a few days, then crumble at the first sign of resistance. They return to their old ways and reinforce the original training even more deeply. You must outlast the resistance. Hold your frame for weeks, then months. Eventually, the people around you will have no choice but to recalibrate. They will adjust their mental model of you. They will update their expectations. They will begin treating you according to the new standard you have set. Some relationships will not survive this transition. Some people are only in your life because you were easy to use. When you stop being easy, they will drift away. Let them go. Their departure is not a loss. It is a filter working exactly as it should. The relationships that remain will be stronger. They will be built on genuine respect rather than convenience. You are not losing people. You are upgrading your entire social environment, one held boundary at a time. The dark psychology of value perception. There is a principle in human psychology so fundamental that once you see it, you will never unsee it. We assign value based on scarcity. What is rare is precious. What is abundant is worthless. This applies to resources, it applies to opportunities, and it applies to people. Think about how you treat something that is always available to you. The air you breathe, the water from your tap, the friend who always answers on the first ring no matter what. You take these things for granted. Not because you are ungrateful, but because your brain is wired to conserve attention for what is limited. Now think about how you treat something that is scarce. A rare item you have been searching for. An opportunity that may never come again. The person who is difficult to reach and impossible to predict. Your attention sharpens. Your effort increases. Your respect deepens automatically without any conscious decision. This is not a flaw in human nature. It is human nature operating exactly as designed, and the dark psychologists of history understood how to weaponize this truth. When you are always available, you train people to perceive you as low value. When you respond instantly to every message you communicate that your time has no competing demands. When you accept every invitation you signal that your life lacks options. When you reveal everything about yourself immediately, you leave nothing to discover. Mystery dies, and with it dies their interest. The Machiavellian move is to become strategically scarce without being manipulatively absent. This is a delicate balance. You are not playing games. You are not artificially delaying responses to seem important. You are genuinely building a life so full of purpose that you cannot be at everyone's beck and call. You are cultivating depth that cannot be fully accessed in a single conversation. You are developing layers that reveal themselves slowly over time. When people sense that accessing you requires effort, they automatically assign you more value. When they sense that your attention is selective, they treasure it when they receive it. When they sense that you have options, they work harder to remain one of them. This is not about being cold or unavailable. It is about being centered in your own life rather than orbiting someone else's. The man who drops everything for everyone becomes furniture, present but ignored. The man who has his own gravitational pull becomes a destination. People adjust their schedules for him. They wonder about him when he is not there. They feel his absence as weight. Stop flooding the market with your presence. Scarcity is not cruelty. Scarcity is clarity. It tells the world that your time and energy are finite resources that must be earned, not assumed. Becoming untouchable. Let me paint you a picture of the man you are becoming. He walks into a room and something shifts in the atmosphere. There is no announcement. There is no arrogance radiating from him. But people notice. They feel a gravitational weight they cannot explain. He does not seek the center of attention, yet attention finds him anyway. He does not speak first, yet when he speaks, the room quiets. This is not charisma in the shallow sense. This is presence forged through complete internal security. He has nothing to prove because he has already proven everything to the only judge that matters, himself. This man is untouchable, not because he has built walls so high that nothing can reach him, but because he has built a foundation so deep that nothing can shake him. Insults land at his feet like pebbles thrown at a mountain. He observes them. He may even find them mildly interesting. But they do not penetrate. They cannot. There is no wound inside, desperate for salt. Praise washes over him like rain on stone. He appreciates it. He may even acknowledge it with a nod. But it does not inflate him. His sense of self was never dependent on external validation, so external validation cannot alter it. He cannot be baited into emotional reactions because he has trained himself to choose his responses deliberately. Someone raises their voice at him and he becomes quieter. Someone attempts to provoke him and he becomes more still. Someone tries to manipulate him through guilt or shame and he sees the attempt clearly, like watching a child try to pick a lock with a stick. He is not cruel about it. He does not mock or belittle. He simply does not comply. This drives manipulators insane because their tools no longer function. The strategies that work on everyone else shatter against him, like glass against iron. And here is what happens over time. People begin to treat this man differently without consciously deciding to. They choose their words more carefully around him. They respect his time without being asked. They seek his approval while knowing it will not come easily. They speak about him when he is not present with a tone reserved for those who command genuine respect. This is not fear, though fear may be a small component. This is recognition. The animal brain in every person he encounters recognizes a man who has mastered himself, and that mastery is the rarest thing in the world. Most people are chaos walking, reactive, emotional, predictable, easy to push and pull. The man who has achieved internal order stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. He becomes a reference point, a standard. Others measure themselves against him and quietly adjust their behavior in his presence. You are not far from this. Every principle you have absorbed tonight is a brick in this foundation. Every test you pass from this moment forward adds to your solidity. Every silence you hold strengthens your frame. The untouchable man is not born. He is built, decision by decision, day by day. You are under construction. Keep building. And the final command. You have sat through this entire journey for a reason. Something